What's up, everybody? Dark Knight 316, Rapper Wheeler Gaming, and this is the Tackles and Takedowns podcast. So, football regular season is over with. Now we just looking into the playoffs and going towards Super Bowl. So this is what we have right now that we're going over. So number one seed in the AFC, Denver, 14-3. They finally ended the season with. And then we have Buffalo versus Jacksonville. What do you think about that one? What do you think Buffalo's going to win or Jacksonville?
It's interesting because both of them have. Jacksonville was in the playoffs just a couple of years ago, so they both have playoff experience. But I think Buffalo has the most playoff experience, so that's going to be a good game.
It is because for some reason I'm thinking like Jacksonville might be like a sleeper one and pull off a victory here, because you would think that they would want it more than Buffalo, because like Buffalo's been in this situation, so deep down in them they're like, oh yeah, we have this made, like we can kind of, we'll get this done. Whereas Jacksonville's like, yeah, we haven't made this for a while, so we're going to try our damnedest to get. I mean, they're the third seed, so
I think this is the year though that everybody talks about. Josh Allen needs to win a Super Bowl. This has to be the year because there's no Joe Burrow, there's no Patrick Mahomes, there's no Tom Brady. Like there's none of these big name quarterbacks. You got to think
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is the only one who has like the playoff experience. All these other teams do not have as much playoff experience as Buffalo. Buffalo should be able to take this.
Yep. If he wants to ever win a Super Bowl, this, like you said, this would be the time for him to do it. So the next one then is.
I'm choosing Buffalo in this one.
You're gonna choose Buffalo. I'm gonna choose Jacksonville, and then we got the Chargers versus New England.
This is gonna be an interesting one too.
I want New England to win because I'm a Patriots fan, so I'm going with them all the way.
I think New England can take this because the Chargers haven't been playing well, and they've been hit with a lot of injuries and stuff like that. So I think that New England takes it. It's going to be Mike Vrabel's first playoffs with New England, but I mean he already has a lot of playoff experience with the 3 times he made it in 6 seasons with the Titans. So he should be well seasoned.
Yeah, he should be.
New England takes it, I think.
It's interesting though, because if the Chargers do beat New England, which I don't think that they will, but if they somehow do it, it would be a season without the New England Patriots into the playoffs. Like usually, if New England's in the playoffs, they're going, all the way. Like at least with when they had Tom Brady and everything. So, but next one, Houston versus Pittsburgh.
This is a tough one.
This is going to be a tough one. I think Houston will pull it off, but you don't know because, Aaron Rodgers is going to try his all to try to prove something that he can bring the team, his new team, to the Super Bowl.
But, the Houston defense is really good, and considering the fact that when C.J. Stroud was out, they were doing terrible. When he came back, they were playing well. I can see this as the upset. Steelers win it and go on to play New England. I think that would be the most interesting matchup because also, too, New England played Houston not too long ago. They beat them, but it would be interesting to kind of see that matchup with New England and Houston, but I want to see Aaron Rodgers go as far as he can. So I choose Pittsburgh to play New England in the next round.
Okay. So then we would have excuse me, Buffalo versus Denver. between those two,
would be
then
for me.
who would win?
I think Buffalo takes it.
You think Buffalo would beat Denver?
Well, it depends. Because let's see. Yeah,
Because
the lowest seed would be Buffalo. Yeah, so Denver
Yeah.
plays the lowest seed.
Yeah, because it would be moved. It would just move over.
So Buffalo.
You would think Buffalo would
I
beat
think
Denver?
Buffalo would take it.
Now, see, if I had Jacksonville versus Denver, I think Denver would take it. I think Denver will beat them.
Jacksonville actually has played pretty well going into
Because I even think, though,
finishing off the season.
if Denver goes against Buffalo, I think Denver will still beat Buffalo.
I don't think so. The only reason why is because I think Bo Nix is your wild card. Sometimes he has good games. Sometimes he could throw up 30 points, but then sometimes you lose to the Raiders by 3 points.
Yeah.
Or you win by 3 points. So
I mean, it is true. I mean, they're number one here, and they haven't made it to the playoffs. So it could be that like the I don't know if you say like stress or like kind of like it'd be like nerves of making it where he's gonna be like, oh well, we made it this far, we have to make it to the end, and then he could screw up a bunch of stuff and then be
Bo Nix is that typical
easy.
like he reminds me of like Baker Mayfield. He can get you some good games, but then he can
Choke
turn
under
over
pressure.
and like as a rookie he was doing well, like, but he still had those games where it's like he'll throw a bunch of interceptions or can't get you the ball. Like when you look at, like I said, when you look at a couple of games, like when they're playing the Raiders, they should blow out the Raiders, but they kept it close. Kansas City, they should have blown out Kansas City, but they kept it close. So I think you'll see games like that, but I think they'd lose to Buffalo.
Okay, so you said New England will beat the Chargers. And you say Houston will beat? Or no, you
Pittsburgh.
said Pittsburgh. So between Pittsburgh and New England, who would win?
This is where I think Aaron Rodgers stops his pursuit of another Super Bowl. They lose to New England.
So then, if it goes to New England versus
Buffalo.
Buffalo, do you think New England will take
I
it?
think
Or
New
do you
England
think
could
Buffalo
take it.
would take it?
I think New England could take it, just because I think it's tough because I think the two best quarterbacks are Drake May and Josh Allen, and I think they're going to play the best ball. And because you got to think too, like both of them, when you get to the playoffs, you got to have a running game, and both of those teams have running games. Buffalo had one of the top running backs in the league, and New England has a good running game. So I think as you start to see it, like the rest of these teams don't really have running backs because you got to think like you got to grind the ball out maybe 5 minutes of just wasting clock, and you got to have a good running game that could get you like 2-3 yards, boom, 5 yards here there, and you just keep running out that clock. So Mike Vrabel did it with Tennessee back in the day against New England in the playoffs where he could run
Yeah,
out
and,
things like
and
that.
he got a lot of slack for doing that because
But Bill Belichick would do the exact same thing. So it's like,
I know.
so I think
But Belichick was pissed off too because Belichick was like, "What are you gonna do this?" But tables turn, and it would change, and Belichick would do exactly the same.
And that's our thing too. Like you got to think, Mike Vrabel has been. A lot of these coaches already have been in the playoffs. Sean McDermott, a lot of these guys, Sean Payton, but like Mike Vrabel has built this team. I think they're strong. They got a good run game, and I mean you have Drake May who's playing out of this world, one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I think New England could take it to go to the Super Bowl.
If New England goes to the Super Bowl and wins the Super Bowl, I bet you Titans would be freaking pissed because they're like, we should have just gave creative control to Mike Vrabel and he could have turned that team around.
Yep.
If they could have been in the playoffs instead of New England.
I think so.
Because New England, under Jerron Mayo, was like
4-13.
they were like
idea.
the Raiders, like real low on the team and no plans of making it to the Super Bowl.
But you got to see like with Tennessee when he had Tennessee. He had a journeyman quarterback in Ryan Tannehill, made Ryan Tannehill good, because you had the best running back in the league, you had the best receiver in the league at the time, but you traded away your best receiver for some dud. But you also got to think too, like you had a great defense. You were able to run, and you started off a lot of times. You were like 1-3 and came back and started winning all the games.
I mean, you had the best running back in the league. and then you go and you trade him to the Ravens, which he dominated that last like couple games where he just broke everything and broke everyone.
So
in
you
the
gotta think like
even though the Ravens did not make it to the playoffs, but
that last season for Tennessee isn't Mike Vrabel's fault. That's more of like the general manager
Yeah.
because
told you they didn't give
they
him freedom
clashed.
control.
For me, like I'm real hard on my team because I'm a big Titans fan. Mike Vrabel was that coach where I was like, dude, you should have kept him for like the next 30 years because he was an awesome. I didn't care when they had like Mike Mularkey and those guys.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Even when they took Brian Callahan, I was like, this guy's terrible. You don't get a guy like this. You don't grab like he had a couple good seasons of building Joe Burrow and some journeyman backup. Like Mike Vrabel was the coach where I was like, this guy's awesome. I think you keep him.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you when I heard that he was going there. I said, "Oh, he'd be a good coach. That's gonna build that team up. You'll probably finally win a Super Bowl."
Close.
And then when that was not happening, I was like, "Oh, well, he's getting frustrated because they're not letting him do what he wants to do because that's the one thing with GMs and owners and coaches. It's like if you pay this coach to do his job, let the coach do his job. Give him all the freedom, control to sign on whoever he wants, and then you just give him the money.
Yeah, that's why
let him build the team.
That's why you see the Dallas Cowboys always struggling because it's like, you know, I can't even think of his name right now.
Dak Prescott?
No, the owner.
Oh,
I can't even think of his name. Mr. Dallas owner. Why he slips my mind right now.
Bus or whatever.
He wants control over everything and things like that. And then you haven't won a Super Bowl in over 20 years. When you've taken over the team, you've done a terrible job. That's where I'm like, to me, I'm always like, okay, you had a GM, let him do his GM duties. You have a head coach, let him do his head coach duties because your head coach is going to know more about your team than the GM is going to know more about your players. The GM should go to your head coach and just say, hey, Mike Vrabel, do you want your Toxic? You want this guy? Okay, I'm going to work out the contract and see if we can get him for you. Rather than being like, you need to, Mike Vrabel, you need to get Terrell Owens on your team. It's like, well, he doesn't fit on my team. Well, too bad, he's Terrell Owens. That's
it's like we want these people there.
No.
It's like you let the head coach sign on any personnel that he wants.
You have to just work out the deal.
Yeah, you just work out the deal to try to get them to do the team, and then he'll do the training. Because then, if it comes down to the end where it's like, he made the bad decision, it's on him. Then you can go and fire him.
You said, I give you control to be able to sign.
And you
get the players you wanted, I signed them for you.
Yep.
It didn't work out with what you're looking for.
Yep. And then the GM would be like, okay, sorry, we're going to have to get rid of you because you screwed it up. And it's like that. And then but that's why I think he's happier when he's in New England right now because
I think it's more like home for him because he played for New England, knows New England
culture.
What's
his face, the owner Robert Kraft, as long as he doesn't screw over Vrabel like he did Belichick, then I think it would probably be fine.
I don't think he would do that though because you got to think like how quickly New England had turnaround to like you won 14 games with Mike Vrabel. I think if Robert Kraft's like chiming in his ear, then it's like, dude, you ain't gonna win anything. Like this is now you've had a more successful coach. Like you got rid of Belichick, you had a terrible coach to now have a successful coach in one season to turn around. I can see Tennessee doing that because Tennessee has $100 million of cap space, but that's a
So
enough yapping for me.
We'll do the NFC side. So Seattle's already in it.
Seattle is the first seed.
So between the Rams and the Panthers, who do you think's going to win that one?
I don't see upset here. I think Rams take it, but it would be interesting to see Carolina with the losing record come in there and win.
Well, with the I think it was like a couple episodes ago. ChatGPT predicted the 50 next Super Bowls, and they said for this Super Bowl, the Rams is going to win the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if that's true or not. But I do think the Rams could beat the Panthers.
This is interesting right here. I don't know if we can see it here. They say that Green Bay's 9-7. How did they win 16 games, but they played 17?
Mm-hmm.
They don't put their tied record.
No, they don't put their tied one. But
because they're 9-7-1.
But with the Panthers and the Rams, like it would be interesting to have the Panthers beat the Rams because it's like when you're thinking of the Panthers, you're not thinking a high caliber team.
Mm-mm.
So it would be interesting if they do dethrone a Super Bowl contender.
It would be,
and then move on to.
It would be like that. Would be like the biggest upset of like what the heck happened here.
Yeah.
How did the Rams make it to 5th place against? But I think Rams go up against Seattle. Have to go in. If the Rams are going to the Super Bowl, they have to play on the road the next 3-4 games.
So between Packers and Bears, who do you have on that one?
I think Bears take it just simply because I think Jordan Love injuries. I think he doesn't make it. Like I'd like to see Malik Willis play and win a Super Bowl, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think Chicago takes it.
I think Chicago will beat the Packers as well. What would be interesting and what would be pretty cool is if it's Pittsburgh versus Green Bay, because it would be Aaron Rodgers' former team versus his current team. I don't see it happening, but I think the Bears will take over and beat the Packers, which would be weird because, just like the Panthers, the Bears, you never would think of anything that Chicago, is going to win. Like Chicago hasn't been good since Michael Jordan was on the Bulls, and
on the White Sox,
Well, White Sox didn't really win championships, but I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying because
Chicago
for England, they haven't been good in a while. So
when you think of Chicago, you don't think of the Bears, you think of the Bulls.
Everybody goes, "Oh, I'm a Chicago Bulls fan." They don't go, "I'm a Chicago Bears."
Now
fan.
Everybody's rooting for the Bears, but I think the Bears take this one. This is where I think I don't know. Let's see if we can get it on the screen.
Yeah, San Francisco.
This is
versus
the interesting
Eagles.
one. My pick is my favorite quarterback in the league, Brock Purdy. I think takes this and beats Philadelphia, and that's the end of Philadelphia's back-to-back reign. Just because I think Brock Purdy's coming back at a time when he was out for the longest time because of injury, but I think he's playing the best ball of any quarterback right now. And I think he comes in there. I think they'll take it. They'll go on the road and beat Philly.
Yeah, see, it's hard to decide because who's the quarterback for Philly?
Jalen Hurts.
Oh yeah, Hurts. And I mean, when they won last time, they had the Kelsey guy on there.
Yeah, but the way I look at it too is like their Eagles' offensive line. It wasn't as good this year. Saquon has taken a step back because he's on the cover of Madden. He's taken a step back this year. A.J. Brown was disgruntled with the amount of receptions he got. Devontae Smith hasn't been that good. So Philly, I think, because they played in such a weak division this year, they were able to squeak by. But I think San Francisco came back and was like Brock Purdy was throwing 5 touchdown games.
So you think that excuse me, sorry. You think that their flaws because of their weak division will come out, and that's what will make them lose?
Because San Francisco, you got to think their division. They already have three teams in the Rams and Seattle, and they've had to battle the Rams and Seattle, and all of them into the playoffs. So I think it's gonna be a tough game for Philly. I think it's gonna be a close game, but I think San Francisco takes it, beats Philly.
I mean, I would go with the Eagles because the Eagles are pretty good, but I mean, if Brock Purdy is healthy and does really well, and they don't have to put in Mac Jones.
Who?
Mac Jones.
Who?
Then I think 49ers will win against them. So since we picked the 49ers and the Bears, between those two, who do you think is going to win?
And 49ers take it.
Think 49ers?
I
actually think the Bears will take it.
I think the 49ers because I also do not trust Caleb Williams. I think it's his first. You got to think like it's his first taste of the playoffs. Now, Green Bay. The reason why I think Green Bay loses is because injuries and things like that. Unless Malik Willis is in, and I hope he's in, and he takes it and he picks him apart because I love Malik Willis. That's my boy. I don't think they do it, but I don't think Chicago has enough of because they got a first year head coach who's turned around the team, which is fine, but you also have quarterback experience. That's what you got to think of. Brock Purdy's been to the Super Bowl, so Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan, they have the experience. They know what they're doing. I think they are the team that's going to be the most dangerous in the playoffs. But I think they play. If they get through Philly, I think that's their way of just making it a Super Bowl.
So you think it's going to be Buffalo versus 49ers then?
No, I think it's going to... Well, I mean, right now here, I have New England against Buffalo. There. So
then you think it's going to be New England versus San Francisco?
Well, right now I have San Francisco beating Chicago.
Yeah, so you have them going over there.
Seattle beating the Rams.
Okay.
So I think between Seattle and 49ers, I think the 49ers play New England in the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, so you think it's the New England 49ers?
I think New England 49ers.
If it's that, I'm saying New England will take it. What do you think? Do you think 49ers will take it?
It will be tough. I will go with New England because I like Mike Vrabel, but you got to think too if the 49ers do make it playoff. Mike Vrabel's never.
We're talking about playoffs.
Mike Vrabel's never been to a Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan has been to a Super Bowl, so it's one of those where it's
Well, Mike Vrabel's been to a Super Bowl.
Well, he's been to a Super Bowl not as a head coach.
Not as a head coach.
Kyle
but
Shanahan
he's been to Super Bowl.
has been there. I mean, having San Francisco's defense turn around because they brought back Robert Saleh, so it's it's hard to go against San Francisco, but I think
it would be interesting though if it is San Francisco versus New England because Mac Jones used to be in New England.
Aren't they also isn't the Super Bowl in San Francisco this year? I thought it was this year.
Yeah, it is because you can see the Golden Gate.
So it would be interesting to see again. They had it a couple of years, so it would be interesting to see San Francisco basically hosts their own Super Bowl, but New England will take it. But yeah, it's gonna be a good game. What do you think?
I think New England takes it all the way.
But who do you think for your picks over here?
Well, I say 49ers will do it. And
you
then
think 49ers beat Philly?
Will beat Philly. I think the Bears will
beat Green Bay.
Beat Green Bay.
And then who wins between those two?
I think with how you broke it down, I think the 49ers will actually beat the Bears because of experience over everything. Because since you said the Bears, this is their first time
it's the first time.
I would like to see the Bears make it to the Super Bowl on there because there's a lot of Chicago fans that this is their chance of actually getting to the Super Bowl and stuff since in the playoffs. I mean, they are ranked number 2 for a reason. So I think that it would be cool to see Chicago all the way. But if the Chicago did, let's say, in my bracket, beat 49ers and go to Seattle, it's real hard, in my opinion, to have the Bears make it to the Super Bowl.
So you think
Seattle would take it?
You think Seattle beats the Rams here? And it goes Seattle against 49ers.
They would beat the Rams because I think the problem I think the Rams have is that they think the team is like the Lakers. It's
well, they are LA.
Yeah, I know. And so, but I think that they think that they're like the greatest team ever to hit NFL. And so I think that that's their problem is that they think that they're the best and that nothing can beat them, and that's why they always make it to the playoffs and everything like that. I think that they think that they're the greatest team ever, and so I like it when New England last time in the Super Bowl dethroned them, and they thought that they were the best thing. But the problem with this would be better for them in LA because they don't have to deal with the snow, like when they went to New England and they played in Denver, and it was like snowing, and the people in California are like, what is this white stuff? We don't know. We've never played in it, and so that's why the Rams lost bad to New England, and so since it is in L.A., like if the Rams do make it, that's home turf. So what would be interesting is if it's the Chargers versus the Rams because it would just be an L.A. Game
LA
altogether,
Bowl,
you know. But yeah, that's great. But I still say New England will be if it's New England to in Seattle. New England wins.
But here you think Seattle beats 40. You had Seattle and 49ers here. Who do you think wins between those two?
I would say that 49ers.
49ers. So the same pick as me. You have 49ers against New England, and New England.
New England will beat 49ers.
Well, you heard it here, folks. He copied my exact same picks. So,
well, because I'm excited that my team is in the playoffs, so I'm gonna root for them regardless of whether they win or not. They're going to make it to Super Bowl.
Kind of like how I did this year. 17 straight victories for Tennessee. So let's go. I want to go over because there has been some big news coaching changes.
Go under the news.
There was
do the coach one.
You want to see it under the news, so we'll go for the latest if this ever wants to work. So if you look first off, John Harbaugh after 18 seasons is let go from the Ravens. What are your thoughts on that?
That's crazy, but I mean I can understand it because they did that to Belichick. I mean, Belichick has, they got rid of him after Brady left.
But do you think if the Ravens make that field goal at the end, they make it to the playoffs, do you think
he would have still had his job?
He still has his job. Do you think Mike Tomlin, they would have let him go? Mm-hmm. You think it would have been like...
It would have been reversed. Mike Tomlin would go. I actually think that they're still going to get rid of Mike Tomlin.
I don't. I think depending on how they look in the... because...
I think Steelers are going to lose.
No, here's the reason why. I think Aaron Rodgers signs another 1-year contract with the Steelers. But if you look at that division now, Steelers are the favorites going into next year because, the Browns just lost their head coach. The Bengals, we don't know how that situation is going to play out. The Ravens need a new head coach. So now you have kind of like 3 teams that are up in the air. And if you keep Mike Tomlin, you keep Aaron Rodgers, you build on the success, DK Metcalf comes back, things like that, your team could probably win more than 10 games. You start fixing up that defense some more, I think you'll be fine because now, like, your biggest threat right now is the Ravens. So I think now that the Ravens in my opinion, I think they made this mistake. They shouldn't have done that. I think the biggest... You gotta think like the biggest blunder was quarterback play for the Ravens because they started losing when Lamar Jackson got injured. So they didn't really relied everything on Lamar Jackson. And I think that's their biggest downfall is because they've invested so much into Lamar Jackson. Now, I think Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback. He was when I picked, I thought he was going to be one of the better quarterbacks. But his style of play is what's getting him injured, and I think they needed to change that, and I think it just happens because of the decisions that are made, especially, like, you got to think, when they threw all that money at, I go back to the money situation, you threw all that money at Lamar Jackson, you can't build a defense, so I think that's their biggest problem. They had a great running game because they have a running quarterback and the best running back in the league, but there's no way you're going to win.
Who's the best running back in the league?
Derrick Henry.
Yeah. See, I think the Ravens ended up being good once they got Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Because
they got better, yeah.
Yeah, because Lamar Jackson didn't have to do all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But see, they still turned to Lamar to do the running. That's their problem. That's why he should have got fired, the head coach, because this is the thing is, and I've been saying this since the beginning of the season, and I'll still be saying it till I die, is that you need to get rid of scrambling quarterbacks. They need to be pocket quarterbacks. let your running back do his job of being a running back. You be the job of being the quarterback, standing in the pocket, throwing it all. This is why we get major injuries for the quarterbacks all the time, every single season. There's always a quarterback that's injured for a few games or maybe out for the season because they tear their ACL, their MCL, shoulder injury, elbow injury, all this kind of stuff there is because they scramble. I know the league changed, but it didn't change for the good. They made it where running backs now get paid pennies to a dollar because as a coach or GM, you're like, well, why should I pay this running back X amount of dollars when the quarterback's now doing the job of it? And so then they don't think about, oh, well, now all the hits are going to be on the quarterback, so now they're going to get injured. So you saw with the Ravens was the example was once they got Derrick Henry and they let Derrick Henry do the running and didn't let Lamar Jackson do the running, that's when you started seeing, he didn't get injured as much. He started going to, Lamar Jackson doesn't have to run anymore. Now he can stay in the pocket, look around, give the the only time he would have to run is like if he's trying to, evade the defense and
like
stuff.
if you're still in the pocket, let's say 10 seconds, and then there's like literally nothing open, then you should be able to take off. But your first mentality shouldn't be taking off. And I think it's also because they do that you have a lot of scrambling quarterbacks because you have a lack of a good offensive line.
Yeah, you don't trust your running backs. You don't trust your, and that's the problem is, and I go back to the era with Brady and Peyton Manning and even Roethlisberger and
you think during that era,
Aaron
Tim
Rodgers.
Tebow was one of those. Oh, he's good at scrambling. People are like, oh, he's a terrible quarterback but now it's like he brought that in sooner than when Michael Vick did the exact same thing. Like Tim Tebow started doing that, making it popular, but he happened just to be just a few years short of the popularity of having these running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
They could have fixed his motion or even anything like that, but what ended up happening was he was a scrambling quarterback, and they wouldn't. Like everybody shamed him for that, and now everybody runs.
Yeah, and you see that during the era of Brady and Manning and all those old quarterbacks is they had less injuries. The running backs and all that stuff had injuries because they were taking all the hits and stuff. But you saw the quarterbacks had less injuries, and that's why you would see that a lot of the quarterbacks could go all 18 weeks, go do the playoffs, do all this stuff like that, and not have to worry about, injuries as much. And that's why, they should have got paid all this, money because they're the quarter. With the running backs now, like, I think
Slowly starting to pick up though. Running backs are starting to get better.
yeah, but unless they change the quarterback mentality and change the whole game back to being pocket quarterback, that's why Sidor Sanders is like, I think that he could be the dude that changes it around and brings back pocket quarterbacks and stuff like that. But that's only if his team is willing to build it.
They work
upon
on
him.
his skill set.
If they work on him and make him a pocket quarterback and not a running quarterback, and they make that shows that pocket quarterbacks should come back, then you're gonna start seeing the change of everybody becoming back to being pocket quarterback. Because if you look at the thing with the pocket quarterbacks, like you can stay in the pocket for so long, then you can see that the defense will start breaking up, and that's why you can see Brady, chugging the ball real far, picking apart the defense because
and that's the thing
doing
too.
it.
When you have a pocket quarterback, like you can keep your running back in to block, and then just have him kind of sweep out to the side and you throw him the ball and let your running back do its thing. And that's the beauty. You can even sit him like Shedeur Sanders. I think you can sit him in shotgun the whole time. Like Tom Brady was in shotgun for the longest time, but you can do things like that where you have the fake your hand off to the running back, or even have them as a blocking. Let your running back run out and pass like that. That's where instead of like you're in the shotgun, all of a sudden you go, oh 1 2, okay, boom, I'm taking off. Like no, you don't want to do that.
Yeah,
but
because that's what I said. Like when you see they start running themselves instead of the running back, they get injured a lot more. Like look at Patrick Mahomes, like,
injured now.
He's injured. He's out for the season, which I mean they didn't make it anyway, but still like he's out there and he tore his ACL. Now I mean he's young and he's gonna recover from it, but that could have been preventable. If he wasn't a scrambling quarterback, that could have been preventable. Like, yeah, he could have still got hurt because, he's getting sacked and stuff like that. But it's less likely of an injury because he's not have to work out his knees as much of running around and having to worry about passing it, because that's then a whole nother thing that the quarterback has to then be like, okay, well, now I got to run, block, and do all this stuff.
So when you look at this article, they said the top 7 coaching openings. Baltimore Ravens at number 1. I can think of 3 top guys now that you have.
They're only number 1 because they were shunned by Harbaugh.
You got top guys right now: Mike McCarthy, Bill Belichick, John Harbaugh. Well, we know John Harbaugh isn't taking Baltimore position, but who do you think? Do you think that they get like an experienced guy, or do you think they go with some kind of like, young coordinator who has turned around a team or something like that?
No, they would have to go with the experience.
Like, do you think they get like how the Colts had success, so everybody wants to go like get the coach position, or do you think they get that the defensive coordinator of like the Vikings? I can't think of his name right now, who used to coach Miami for a little bit. His name has been in there as a guy to get another head coaching position. Do you think Baltimore? Because now, if you look, Lamar Jackson has 7 seasons, hasn't made it to the Super Bowl. He's been to an AFC Championship game, but now like Derrick Henry's getting up there. He may be a free agent. He may leave because, he may. You never know the relationship with how people like John Harbaugh. So it's one of those now. He may go because he only signed a couple-year contract with them. I think if Derrick Henry left, he goes to the Cowboys, but that's another.
You think Derrick Henry will go to the Cowboys?
I think he'd go. I mean, that makes the most sense.
You don't think he'll go back to Tennessee?
I don't think he goes back to Tennessee. But do you think?
What if he goes to New England?
I don't think he'll go to New England either.
No.
But so Baltimore, you think they're going to get like an experienced head coach, a Pete Carroll, somebody like that who?
I think if Mike Tomlin gets fired, he'll go to Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't think... I think Mike Tomlin has one of those where it's like he's looking over his shoulder because he'd be like, well, if they can do this to John Harbaugh, they could do that to me.
Yeah, because I've
been coaching that long.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Baltimore is going to get one of those young, popular coordinators, and they're not going to do so high. I think
since they got rid of that coach, I don't think Baltimore is going to make it next year.
I don't think so. I think they're going to struggle too. I think they're going to go into a whole money cutting kind of situation. But John Harbaugh is favorite for New York Giants. Do you think he takes that? Because you got to think New York Giants have a really good, promising quarterback, Jackson Dart. They have good receiver. They're one of the best young receivers, one of the best young running backs. They can go and start to build upon that team. You think John Harbaugh has that, or do you think he sits out a year? Because you also got to think too, some of these, you have a quarterback, but do you wait a year and hope that there's your dream job position that opens, and you may not have a good quarterback?
I think that the Giants will end up getting Pete Carroll.
You think Giants get Pete Carroll?
Yes.
That'd be interesting.
Because I think what happened with Pete Carroll is the team just sucks.
The Raiders are terrible.
Yeah. And so he didn't really have... he just came back to... I think he really just came back to do a favor.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really want to be the coach for that team. So I think that if this opportunity for the Giants, where they're all young, and that Pete Carroll could shape them, because with Geno Smith, is not that great of a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And that team of Raiders need a whole
well, he signed that big...
well, the Raiders need a whole rebranding, basically. Get rid of everybody and rebrand everything on there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Pete Carroll would do good if he's on the Giants on there. I even think if they were to get Belichick, Belichick could turn the Giants around on there. But it would be ironic if Belichick did the Giants, because the Giants defeated him twice in the Super Bowl. So it would be interesting to see him coach the team that defeated him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Pete Carroll would probably go to the Giants if Pete Carroll decides that he still wants to be the coaching, because he is pretty old,
mm-hmm.
and you know,
Do you want to
like do you want to keep playing there, or do you want to just retire and live out the rest of your time?
because that's what you got to think too. Like, do you want to coach for the next 10, 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
He is getting older. He may not coach. He may not want to coach for maybe just a couple years. So do you want to then have to change your coach in maybe 2-3 years because he's decided?
But I would think that it could be the same as like with the quarterback. Like if they got Pete Carroll to the Giants, they can have like the offensive coordinator or whatever that he trains to become the future head coach.
Yeah, but it doesn't usually work that way these days because you got to think. Like I think of Tennessee, for instance. Tennessee had a bunch of good offense coordinator, defense coordinators, and then it's like after a year they swoop them up and give them head coaching position there. So it's like you think like Arthur Smith, for instance. Oh, he was turning around that team. Boom, swoop him up, take him to Atlanta. Oh, you had.
Well, it's because of.
And
like the
that's where it's like that hot popular.
Well, I think it's because the offensive coordinators are like they really want to be head coaches, but they don't want to put it in the experience of trying to do the head coaching. So that's why when they go and become head coaches, they suck. But what I'm saying is like Pete Carroll comes, let's say signs on for 3 years, in the fact of he's going to train his replacement, so that offensive coordinator stays with them for the 3 years because he's promised. After the 3 years of Pete Carroll leaving, he's going to become the head coach of that team. So then he'll learn under Pete Carroll of like, you know, this is how you run the team. This is what you got to do. And then he could be building the offensive line so that then when he becomes head coach, he already knows what to do. Whereas these other ones that are coming on there, they're just, oh, I'm going to be doing good here because then I know I can go someplace else because I'm not going to get the head coach job here. And so that's the mentality of that. So if he can, like, you know, be like the veteran quarterback, basically.
Yeah, I don't see it though, but I do see. We look at Cleveland Browns. This I think is the most attractive position, and this comes from a Tennessee fan because you have a up and coming team. I feel like Bill Belichick would take this because he used to coach the Browns back in the day, but I can see something like that. Like this is where you need to get a like a Mike McCarthy, somebody like that. To Cleveland to coach Shedeur Sanders to make him into like a Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers, make him, you know, turn him into one of the next great quarterbacks, and especially too because Mike McCarthy knows how to build like an offensive line. He did it with the Packers, and he had one of the best offensive lines during his time with the Cowboys. I think this would be a perfect spot for him, for Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, I don't think Belichick would go to Cleveland. I mean, yeah, he did before, but I don't think that he would go to Cleveland. I think if anything, the Giants would probably be a better fit for him.
Well, what do you think about Atlanta, though? He interviewed for the Atlanta head coaching position when he left New England, but, you know, they didn't want him. You think Belichick leaves North Carolina with his girlfriend to go to Atlanta?
I mean, if he goes to Atlanta, he has Kirk Cousins. I don't see Kirk Cousins doing any good.
He also has Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah,
so.
But
I always thought the hiring of this head coach, like they got rid of Arthur Smith, who pretty much had the same record, and you got rid of him to get Raheem Morris, who's never been a good head coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a good defensive coordinator, and I think because he won when they won the Super Bowl when he was defense coordinator of the Rams. Like you got some guys who are just good coordinators; they're not good head coaches. Like you think of offense coordinator of the New England Patriots, Josh McDaniels.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a good head coach, but he's a good coordinator, which is why they turn around things like that. So I think Raheem Morris.
Well, this could be like
coach.
the whole New England thing when they had Gerard Mayo. He sucked as the head coach. Mm-hmm. He sucked at his job there. That's why they gave him a 1-year deal. This one's 2 seasons for Raheem Morris. So I could see that like they get somebody else who's experienced, and then they come and turn the team around. Raheem Morris
just needs to focus. I mean, I believe he used to coach the Jets. And I think the Bucks, but it's like you got to get rid of. He's just got to be a defensive guy and just win Super Bowls that way. But Falcons do have up and coming team as well. This is where I think is probably going to be the worst one to go to. Arizona Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
I think whoever takes the head coach here.
It's probably the Raheem guy. Excuse me.
It's probably going to be a guy like that, like one of those guys who, Brian Dable or, somebody like that. Like, I don't think they're going to get a Jonathan Gannon who was popular at the time. He was a terrible pick as well, but I think a lot of these guys get these, like I said, they get the up and coming coordinators. If Arizona wants to fix, they should go back and get Bruce Arians, I think, and pay him what he wants, because Bruce Arians took Cardinals to a Super Bowl. So I think it is good, but I think Kyler Murray needs to go. It would be interesting to see if they're able to trade Kyler Murray for a Tua. That would be an interesting kind of trade, and both of them start fresh differently.
What if Kyler goes to Tennessee?
I wouldn't want him at Tennessee. I mean, just because we got Cam Ward as well. But I think Kyler Murray's done. I don't think I think the next person comes in has to really think about who they want to change at quarterback and who they want to bring in.
Well, I mean, it's still like how you were saying. The reason why Arizona sucks is because they paid Kyle Murray all this money.
Mm-hmm. He's still owed $36.8 million.
Then there's not enough money to buy, better defense, better offense. And
you got to think too, the way you typically should, so Kyler Murray, first round pick. Let's say he signs a 4 or 5 year contract. During the 3 years is when you decide whether or not you're going to keep them, extend them, or let them play out 5 years. Mm-hmm. So within that first 5 years is kind of when you want to make those deals of getting, who are you going to throw money at, things like that. So this Trey McBride, who was really good, and then Marvin Harrison Jr., who, may be up and coming, he doesn't have a good quarterback and stuff. But when these guys get through, that's where you want to get a good rookie with their contract and then see whether or not, just let them walk because we're not going to pay them. $36.8 million, you could get probably good 3-4 players of guys who are veteran caliber who can contribute to your team, but you're paying one guy $36 million who's sitting on the bench because he's injured too much.
Yeah, this is why you don't get the number one quarterback or whatever in college for your draft pick on them, because then they're going to be expecting X amount of money for this year and you're going to be paying a huge chunk. Whereas if you wait and you get somebody in the last rounds and the lower one, you can get a quarterback, pay him way cheaper, and they usually end up becoming good. Because look at Brady. He wasn't picked in the first round, and Brady ends up being the best player New England ever decided to get.
Tennessee. Who do you think Tennessee gets? Do you think they get a veteran guy, or do you think they get
With Tennessee, just like with all these other ones, I say that they need a veteran guy.
A Mike McCarthy?
But the problem,
John Harbaugh?
The problem is the GM. They have to give them control over the team. So. If you don't give them control over the team, they're never going to win. So the general manager and the owner and all that will have to give control to the coach. So whoever's going to coach this one has to be telling them, hey, you want to win? Let me do whatever thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't see Belichick going to Tennessee, because Belichick will have
they're going to
fights with the GM. He's going to get all pissed off and stuff like that. And then I can maybe see Pete Carroll going. I don't think he will, because Pete Carroll's going to be this is going to be like the Raiders, where it's going to be, everything's put on him for doing. That's why I think Pete Carroll would be good for doing the Giants job on there.
I think I think this is, in my opinion, this is probably where I would want Mike McCarthy. Even though I think it more attractive to the Browns, this is where I think Mike McCarthy would be the best, because you have $100 million in cap space. But I also think you do not want to get a guy now going into Tennessee. You don't want to get a guy who hasn't had coaching experience. I think this is where you have to get bring back a Jeff Fisher or somebody who has coaching experience, because you have Cam Ward now who's going to year 2. You do not want him to, you're going to stunt his growth because you just got these guys who are just, you're just fumbling it every single time. We're just trying, no, get a guy who is established. Pay him Mike McCarthy, give him a 5-year deal, let him work out the next 5 years. I think the biggest problem also in the NFL is a lot of patience. You look at the Lions, for instance, when the head coach of the Lions first took over that position, it was they were terrible, and it was an easy, like, you could be like, oh, well, you couldn't turn around the team, like, you're done. But they held on to him, and the Lions were good. And, they had their step back this season, but, like, he turned around the Lions team. I think that's what you need with Tennessee. You need a coach in there who's established, but you need a coach in there, like, give him patience to be like, I got to change up the roster. I got $100 million to work with. Let's start getting some receivers. Let's start building an offensive line, because that's the biggest downfall for Tennessee is you need a good offensive line. I believe you can have a good offensive line with a journeyman quarterback, and you can and a great defense and a run game, and I think you can win a Super Bowl that way. You don't necessarily need to have an elite quarterback, but you need a really great offensive line. And I think that's where Mike McCarthy would shine. I would hope that they bring him in there, and
Well, with the with like Tennessee and stuff like that, I mean, with like how you were saying that they need. I mean, New England did that. They got Gerard Mayo that had no experience in coaching on there,
and look how
and then they got
bad they were.
Yeah, but they got rid of him after the 1 year. They didn't wait on him and let him try to build the team because he was just crap. They got Mike Vrabel because I think what there was is they were hoping Mike Vrabel would have signed on like right then and there, but they didn't.
But see, that was the thing. Mike Vrabel did that whole, like, I'm going to sit out a year. I'm like a defensive consultant.
Yeah.
And he waited for the position that he wanted was New England. So, like, that's where I think of, like, John Harbaugh. Like, okay, so does he want, there's a position, maybe he wants the Bengals. Hey, and he's waiting for the Bengals to do terrible. They get, okay, that's the one I want. I'm going to take it. But that's where, like, you got to guess. Like, Mike McCarthy sat out a year. Do you get him now? Maybe there's talks, because there's not that many big name, like, established head coaches left that you can get, and I think this is where you gotta, like, you're at Tennessee, you gotta jump on some of these guys and pay them. But Raiders, do you think Raiders get Bill Belichick, or Bill Belichick stays in North Carolina?
If the Raiders get Bill Belichick, this would be the team that will win the Super Bowl. Because of the relationship between Brady and Belichick is a good relationship. I mean, they had their differences on there, but, it's because Belichick had to do what the GM told him to do. So it wasn't that, it was personal and stuff like that.
But the Raiders have a rebuild, though.
Yeah, I know. So, but also Tom Brady knows Belichick, and he's real good friends with Belichick. So, like, he would trust Belichick to take this team over on there. The problem is Geno Smith. They need to, with having the first round draft pick, get a rookie quarterback. But the only problem though is if they get this rookie quarterback, they shouldn't be under Geno Smith. They'll
that's the thing
stuff.
too, though. Do you think with this number one pick they trade out of this position and secure some more draft picks?
I could see them doing that, because what I think that they're going to do is try to fill in the line around Geno Smith to try to, like, improve their offensive line, improve their defensive line, and then get rid of Geno Smith. So I think that what they're going to do is not get a quarterback in the first round. I think that they're going to wait to see what free agency has, see maybe like what quarterback are there, but they're going to build in, like, their receivers, they're going to build their offense, they're going to build their defense. So making kind of like Geno Smith thinking that he's still going to be with the team. And then ultimately then when it comes down to all the deadlines and stuff like that, then they're end up going to see what's in the market, get the quarterback, or even get like a rookie in the late rounds that they could get for real cheap.
I think so.
And then what they'll do is they'll build this quarterback up to replace Geno Smith. But there's not really, like, just bench Geno Smith.
In the college game right now, there's not really, like, the big name.
Well, I think the Archie Manning is.
I think he's probably got, like, a couple more. He may be going, like, next year. Because he's still got to prove it in Texas.
Do you think he'll go to the Giants?
No, I don't think he'll go to the Giants. But like, you got to think maybe like the Jets, because Jets don't got a good quarterback either. But I can see like the Raiders could do this where they like trade back, get it like maybe trade with the Jets. Maybe Jets to go, oh, we want a quarterback. Trade with the Jets, secure some more picks in this draft, future drafts, and then just start building that way. Because you need a quarterback, but I don't see anything of like to spend, like, look at last year's quarterback draft. Like, I don't think Cam Ward was worthy of a number one pick. There was no good quarterbacks of, like, worthy of a number one pick last year. And I see it again this year. I don't see a worthy quarterback to be like, you got your next, Patrick Mahomes or, somebody like that. Like, I don't see that. So
yeah, I don't think that they
back.
should. I don't think that they should pay their quarterback huge one. I mean, what about this Max Crosby situation?
Max Crosby, I think it's just one of those because they shut him down because they don't want him to get hurt like the last two seasons. So like trying to protect him, but he has.
But he doesn't. He has that ego where he's thinking that
but he
they
has
got a vendetta against
He has that
him.
competitive spirit where he's like he wants to go out and play 17 games and things like that. And that's the thing too. I'm like, you're paying the guy to let him go out there and play.
Yeah, but also it's like you wanted to protect him because if he gets injured playing those 2 games, then now, you're going to be crap again on the team.
But that's the thing too. I'm like, you're paying him, let him go. If he wants to play, he wants to play. If he gets injured, I mean, yeah, it's going to suck, but you told him, hey, we want to shut you down, and he wants to play, so that's his fault.
But yeah, I see that this is going to be the interesting one is like if Raiders want to win, they need a veteran quarterback. I see Belichick could go to the Raiders, which would be ironic and funny at the same time because when you heard the story about Belichick, he was going to go to the Raiders, but the owner of the Raiders' daughter or whatever, or wife or whatever, did not like Belichick. Liked, what's his
Pete Carroll.
No, not Pete Carroll. Liked, what's his name? He was the old Raiders coach.
John Gruden.
He liked Gruden over Belichick because she's like, there's something about Belichick I don't like.
They should bring back Gruden, I think.
And then Belichick was like, all right, then. And then he went to New England and the rest was history. And then with Gruden, didn't he go to the Bucks? And then
he used to coach the Bucks, and then he coached the Raiders, then the Bucks.
Yeah,
and then back to the Raiders.
And then the Bucks was the one that won the Super Bowl with
him. But also, you got to think, it's like, that controversy he has, the reason why they got rid of him, but it's like they really didn't give him a shot to be able to, turn the team around, which I think he would have had subpar, because I don't think, like, he had 3 first-round picks, and they were, like, there wasn't any good players he drafted, so I think he would have had a subpar, with the Raiders, because there weren't, like, the way that they were spending their first-round picks weren't that good. I can't even think of the first round picks that they got there who's still there with the team. But like they should have, there should have been better ways of being able to get players and things like that. But
yeah. So that's the rank set. Is there any one
that's
after
it? Nope, it's only the 7.
The 7 on there. So that was all of our thoughts about the playoffs, who we think is going to win. We think it's going to come down to New England versus 49ers, and New England's going to win it. These are our picks of who we think are going to take over coaching jobs and what we think that can make them better to improve and what they need to do to improve on there. So this has been Tackles and Takedowns. I'm Dark Knight 316. This is Robert Wheeler Gaming, and we'll see you on the next Tackles and Takedowns.
Yeah, just real quick, shout out to Myles Garrett breaking that sack record.
Yep.
So,
God
bless you guys.
Yep, and we'll see you in the next one. Yeah.
23 sacks, man. That's going to be awesome.